Welcome everyone, good morning, another update today, and today we're going to discuss some altcoins that have been running heavily, and we're going to structure whether those are a good interesting point to buy into or how you should define those. But before we continue, do not forget to subscribe beneath and also like this video, as that helps me a lot with the growth of this channel. Many altcoins are breaking out heavily. People are expecting them to do massive returns. Even when some projects are doing a 50x, people are still assuming that it's going to do another 20x. Could be, but in general it doesn't, as that is what we call FOMO. But we can derive some information from what is happening currently with all those altcoins. And that's why I've got the 2016 Ethereum chart up, as most of the altcoins are doing a similar move, in which there are some very important lessons to take out of this chart. So first of all, if you want to get into a position of your altcoin, still the time right now to get into those. The best period was obviously in December and January, but right now you can still buy some which are not accelerating like Ethereum has been doing in 2016. Why is there still a chance that you could be buying those at this stage? Once they run away, they usually are not an entry point at all anymore. Therefore, it's going to be very difficult to get into those altcoins once they start to run. The difficult part is that you are going to buy altcoins that are not being discussed on social media. And for newcomers, usually they jump into an altcoin that's being discussed all over the place, as one of their friends has been making money with one of those tokens. So that's the first lesson. Secondly, if something starts to run heavily, it will most definitely retest lower levels before it starts to continue running. So if you want to take the entry, and this is in all markets, if it goes vertical and you want to buy those green candles, there might be a chance that you're buying the actual top until the bear market starts. Yes, we are at the beginning of a bull cycle, definitely, but in this chart of Ethereum, it also shows that it takes time before the next impulse wave starts. So if you are one of those buyers at the top of this green candle structure here, it takes months, maybe even a year, until you got back to break even. So if you want to get an entry on a specific altcoin, you should realize that you have to be patient to derive the best risk reward approach, as altcoins do not go up all the time. And therefore, always be risk averse with your entire portfolio before you're going to slam dunk yourself into those, as that's the very critical part. I think there's going to be many backholders from this bull cycle either way, as 2017 gave a similar structure. But this chart of 2016 shows what altcoins are going to do or are already doing. We see many of those vertical charts. Frequently we're going to see a chop as well on those altcoins in which it's on a higher level before the next big impulse wave starts. So I think we are either at 2016 or we are at 2017 in the altcoin cycles in general. I still believe that we have a longer bull cycle this time than the previous time, in which the bull cycle is going to be way higher than most of you anticipate. So therefore, I think that we are at 2016, but essentially, the charts are basically the same. I mean, Ether made a nice 25x during this run in 2017 as well, through which, if it goes heavy like this, you also see in the 2017 cycle that it comes back to retest lower levels. So I'm assuming that once every altcoin has been running heavily, I think we're going to have a similar crash or correction all across the markets. So some altcoins that have been running heavily previously were stated as VERASITY. Some other ones are Kusama and THETA. But the point is here that I wanted to make this video as I got some negativity regarding VERASITY, and oh yeah, it went up again. But if you remember the Ethereum chart correctly, there might be a case that VERASITY is close to being topped out for now, and it's going to have that consolidation period. It might also continue running. Either way, buying in this region does not be profitable in the long run. Right now, at the beginning of a bull cycle, you're doing absolutely fine. It's fantastic. Everything goes up until the market momentum shifts and you're still back holding. So, one, if you are in Verasity since the beginning and you experience such a big move, I would advise you on every altcoin doing this move to take massive profits. Then secondly, if you took those profits, you can start deriving entry points like we did in the previous video on Verasity as well. And if you remember correctly, we were going through this chart on Verasity to derive those entry points. Very simple approach. We can go back all the way down towards those levels that we have here. And as you can see, we didn't even got there, which is absolutely great. Another level that we constructed, is the 0129 level, which got a beautiful retest. This entire region is the area that you were looking for in potential. And now you can see that because of this very fast momentum on Verasity, you see that there's not many entry points based on the daily time frame doesn't even grant any entry point at this stage, unless we go all the way back towards anything in the 0.2 cents level, as essentially if you go back to Ether made such a move as well before we started to continue moving in general. So this is the critical breaker that it should hold on to. If that holds, Verasity is just basically doing fine. But how are you going to derive entry points? Well, at this stage, Verasity is just not an entry point if you want to buy for swing trade approaches. So this swing trade approach, in which 2 cents is the level that you should be looking at, is essentially the level that you should be looking at. And you should stop FOMOing in general. There's still many altcoins ready to break out of this accumulation period, starting to make those big moves, and you should focus on them, as the ROI is way higher. The risk reward is way higher than buying Verasity here. What is the upside potential for Verasity from this stage? Not much, as we just saw a 100x already. Yes, it might pull a 4 or 5x more from here, but it can also drop 50% and still be bullish. While on the other hand, altcoins that are just accumulating could drop 20% but rally 500 to 1000%, which grants way bigger opportunities than what Verasity is doing right now. So daily time frame, very simple. If you look at the 4-hour structure, we can see that we've got a level at 3.5 cents, which basically is the threshold to hold on to. If that doesn't hold, we can see that this previous high is another level or substantial structure where I'm focused to get some buys. So this is the critical area that should hold on to in general. And if we get a drop down, I'm looking at potential buys here or scalp trades. As basically we're defining those entry points based on the 4-hour structure right now. So this is the area to swing trade. This is the area to maybe slowly scale into a swing trade, but essentially buy for day trades towards this level, which is already like 30%. So avoid any FOMO in those markets, in any market. It's the same with Apple, same with Amazon. Avoid any FOMO and derive entry points based on historical price action. And there's another one that's similar to this entire construction. That's THETA. This one has been doing really well, basically also through the NFT hype, essentially. That's great. But what we can see is that its chart is basically a copy paste of what ETH did in 2016. You can see that all those run-ups here also happened in THETA in 2020. What you can see is that during such a run-up, it retests previous level of support. So as we just did with Verasity at 1.3 cents, it got a retest. THETA got a retest there. Another run-up. Even there we can see that we've got some beautiful retests before it started to continue moving. During this entire run-up, no real retest until it got back into this range at around $1.60 for a retest. Another entry point. Then we go further down the line. We can see that we've got another entry point, which says $2.90. And now, basically it's gone. So what you're looking at for THETA is looking at entry points based on historical price action, which might not be filled at all or might not hit all. It is a very risk low risk reward, a low risk approach to buy those coins here. So the entry points, this is your primary entry point for Theta if you want to get any position at all. If this is lost, or this entire region is lost, I'm assuming we're going to see tests around here. Would still be very bullish as we're just making higher lows, higher highs. But in general, it just shows that you should be looking at those historical price action, just like this entire OB is here. Right now we can see that maybe any of these regions becomes resistance, we drop down again, and then we start making such a consolidation period, and anything here you'll be looking at for any entry point. So are they an entry point? Should you be interested in Verasity or Theta or Kusama or any of those coins doing massively right now? Yes, you should. However, you should not be going into FOMO or chasing those green candles, as the potential profitability is way lower than deriving the entry points based on the historical price action. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll be back tomorrow with another one on older altcoins. So do not forget to subscribe and also like this video, and I'll see you again.